shock women into uncontrolled hysteria, to prey upon the innocence of children.
Shocktails with Johnny Thunder.
I wonder if it isn't all a dream, a nightmare.
He's the Hopper to my Joyce, the Steve to my Dustin, the Mind Flayer to my L. It's our master blaster of ceremonies, Johnny Thunder.
Hey, what's going on?
Those references just went right over your head, even though you are like 6 feet 7 inches tall. Because I know that you're not into Stranger Things, but that's what they were. So if you were a little confused there and you had that kind of that stare, like that weird look in your eye, like what the hell is he talking about? That anyway.
Nah, I just pass that off as more of your edibles incidents and just
dude, it has been a huge
moved on with my day.
It has been a busy summer for you. I've like been keeping up. Yeah, I've been keeping up with your your shenanigans. You went to Blobfest. You appeared at the Christmas in July at the Bates, I believe.
Oh, no. Those were just pictures. No, that was pictures from a video we did last Christmas.
Oh.
That's something that's going to be out this fall, but I can't really talk about it yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. But we did go to Blobfest.
Do I need to edit that out, or is that okay? I don't want to get in any trouble with Randy or whatnot.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it's fine. Yeah. No, my friend Scabby came down from outside of Harrisburg, and we hung out at Blobfest for the afternoon. We had a good time. Every year they expand the street fair. So this year they went up to like another side street, which is pretty cool. And they had a lot of cool vendors again this year. If you've never been there, like we always say, it's a really good afternoon. We didn't go into the movies at all, although we should have, because it was like 120 degrees. I think you guys have been having the same kind of weather, right? Where it's like, 90, but then like with the heat index, it's like 110, 115, and it's just crazy. So it was a really hot afternoon, but we had a lot of fun.
Any cool new vendors that stood out, like that you can think of?
I grabbed a bunch of business cards. There were a bunch of different artists that did a bunch of prints and stuff. There was one called Jellyco, JellYkoe. They do some really, really cool artwork, and they're on Facebook, and I followed them. There's also Monsterologist. I thought was pretty cool. The monster art of George Coggle. Donald David is another illustrator. He was there last year, and I bought a bunch of pins from him, and he was there again this year. The one that I really dug, this cat, Bob Berg, and his company's called Glowmania. So he does these really, really cool magnets, and he did a bunch of the classic Universal monsters, and I bought them. It was like Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein, I think Creature, and the Bride. And they're these really great plastic magnets, and they glow in the dark, which is awesome. And I got the ones that glow basically, we think like spooky green, and they're really, really cool. So I really dug his stuff too. There's always a lot of stuff to do. We were there Friday night. They do the run out, so I'm never there for that. But Saturday afternoon they do the fire extinguisher parade. Because of course at the end they defeat the blob with the fire extinguisher. So a bunch of people come out and just shoot off fire extinguishers in the street, which is pretty funny. We got to see the costume contest, which is always cool. They had, oh my God, like 20 or 30 entries this year. And what's cool is a lot of the costumes are based on classic hi-fi.
How about this fantastic new hi-fi, ladies? Direct drive, super slim amp, stereo tuner, and girls, a Dolby cassette deck with full logic control.
Your classic hi-fi coming at you. All right. Classic sci-fi flicks. And, like there was somebody, again, was like Tippi Hedren as the Birds. Somebody else was dressed like the Blob. So they were in this giant pink. Somebody else dressed as Santa Claus. And like I said, it was about 120 degrees. And I'm like, I think that kid should just win because he was Santa Claus just because of the heat. But I'm trying to think of some of the other costumes. I don't really remember anybody else, but so we saw that. We saw the parade. We saw, there was a pet parade this year. There was a pet costume parade. So you could dress up your pet and parade it up and down the street, which is pretty
You didn't
cool.
bring a Daisy out? You didn't bring Daisy down there?
No. Daisy was lazy, and she was out under the tree behind the house. So no Daisy.
You've trained her well.
Exactly. I learned it from watching you, Dad. My drunken foolishness is brought to you this time by 2SP Voluptuous Fuzz. Yes. By the way, that was also my stripper name as well. So, what about you, Sparkles?
Just off the pole. Sponsoring the better side of our high top table, it's Schlitz beer. Yeah, you're getting up there in years. So, don't let those anal polyps take you down. Grab a Schlitz and clean out that colon. Milwaukee's original colonoscopy. Nothing gives you the shits like a Schlitz.
What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Should we ever have a show in here? Some reviews and stuff?
Did we just do the show? Is that enough?
Some content in here somewhere?
My God, wasn't that content enough? How dare you?
Of course.
I take umbrage with your comments.
Radio bronze.
All right. Made of recycled parts. All right, everybody, welcome back to the last bar on the left. My name is apparently Johnny Thunder, and I'm serving up Shocktails here. So let's get right to it. I read some putrid prints, and I'll talk about a couple things that I've read. The first one is called The Nosferatu Story, the seminal horror film, its predecessors, and its enduring legacy by Rolf Geisen. Director F.W. Murnau's Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror of 1921, has become a classic among horror buffs around the world. For years, there was much speculation about the production of the film, its filmmakers, and its star, the German actor Max Schreck. This book purports to tell the complete story, drawing on rare sources, and of course, along the way, the author touches upon other German expressionistic classics like The Golem, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and Metropolis. I dug this book. It's really short. I think it's like 130, 140 pages. Again, I got it out of the library. It's a very niche book, so if you're not into German expressionist film or you're not really into Nosferatu itself, it's not for the casual reader. But if you're into that and you want to delve a little bit further into this specific film, I would say give it a shot. Now, a couple other fiction books that I read, Down the Shore. Oh, my God, that was the other funny thing. In an abundance of caution, I ordered like 6 or 7 books to take down the shore, and I took them all down. I only ended up reading 2. But anyway, so the 2 that I read, and maybe in the future I'll cover the other ones that I read, but the first one I really dug. It was called Halloween Fiend by C.V. Hunt. Now, the town of Strang is not the small, quaint little village it appears to be. It's haunted every night by a creature that townsfolk refer to as Halloween. Once the sun sets each day, Halloween emerges to collect its treats, a small live offering from each household, usually a cat or a guinea pig or some other live creature. The residents comply because no one wants to be the target of Halloween's tricks. But the nightmare of residing in Strang is nothing compared to the yearly ritual Halloween demands of the citizens on All Hallows Eve. This was a really, really cool book. Again, it's only a little over 100 pages, and it focuses on a main character who lives in this small town, which, as I said, every night this amorphous, crazy thing comes to the door, and you have to leave a live sacrifice outside for it to take. And on Halloween night, there's a lottery in town where one townsperson has to be turned over to the monster, and the monster takes that townsperson as a sacrifice. It read really quickly. It was great. It reminded me a lot of, say, like a horror comic or maybe even a short segment on an anthology film. And I can totally see this as a short film or, like I said, a part of an anthology film. If you're at all into Halloween, I would definitely recommend this. I said a very, very quick read, but I really, really dug it. The other one that I read was called Dead Leaves, 9 Tales from the Witching Season, from Bram Stoker award-winning author Kaylin Patrick Burke. And it's the second in his series of short story collections, and they all are set in trick-or-treat night or Halloween night, and they're all dealing with, ghosts, specters, vampires. There's a live burial story. There's one that the opening story was really, really good. It reminded me a little bit, say, of Lovecraft, where there's these gods coming from space that are infecting cell phones, and these high school students have to deal with that whole situation. So both of those I thought were very, very good. If you're looking for something Halloween-y, Halloween-themed, definitely check out both those books. I know you never will, Chris, because I don't think you've picked up a book since, like biology in 8th grade?
Fuck books. Oh, no. Books are for pussies.
No.
Go hit the gym.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about those smutty books in your sock drawer. See, another callback. See, this is like a...
Yeah, I had the penthouse stuck inside of the biology book, so that's it.
literally stuck. All right, look, I got a bunch of reviews, and we're going to burn through these. I got reviews of a movie called Scrawl, The Mummy Rebirth, Wicked Witches, and Midsommar. But I was going to start off with a flick called The Velocipastor.
The Velocipastor. A troubled priest.
How long has it been since your last confession?
Oh, it's been about 2 years. I do drugs, sell drugs, murder people.
The Velocipastor. A beautiful girl with a dark past.
Last night was amazing.
What are you talking about?
The time you turn into a dinosaur and eat someone.
What?
Dinosaurs.
You guys talk all the time about helping people. This might actually be the first time in your life you can.
By what? Killing people?
Yes.
Now, this is like the greatest title I think ever for a horror film. It's coming August 13th to online platforms and Blu-ray on September 17th. See, and again, I can't even get through this. After losing his parents, a priest travels to China, where he inherits a mysterious ability that allows him to turn into a dinosaur. At first horrified by his new power, a hooker convinces him to use his powers to fight crime and ninjas. So, again, you had me at dinosaur, hooker, and ninjas, right? You know, it's everything you want, like in sort of this faux grindhouse kind of bad film. And in a lot of ways, the promise of this sounds a lot better than the actual execution. Unfortunately, like we'll talk about some of these other films have like low budgets, but when I say this has like a low budget, this cat doesn't even like turn into, say, a CGI dinosaur, or he doesn't even wear like a dinosaur mask and like some sort of, you know, like really good gloves or anything like that. It's literally like one of those, they'll go, whoa, he's turning into a dinosaur, and they'll cut away and they'll come back. And he's in one of those, do you ever see like the dinosaurs, like they're running down the street or they're racing at the baseball field, or, you know, like those big, like kind of puffy parachute dinosaur costumes?
Yeah. Like they're like fans are blowing inside them. So yeah.
That's what the guy turns into. And you're like, ooh, that's interesting. It's really, really, really totally low budget. And not in necessarily a good way, but I think there's such a kernel of brilliance in how nonsensical this movie is. If they had even a sci-fi channel budget for this, or even say a comic book, I think would be so kick-ass with this idea. I think there's definitely bigger money sequel potential for this, because like I said, the idea of a priest turning into a dinosaur and fighting ninjas is just so batshit crazy, over the top, ridiculous. It has so much fun potential.
Do I smell franchise?
Well, that's what I said. I'm like, sign up Ian Ziering after this 90210 remake, you know, and see what's cooking after the next Sharknado. But yeah, I would love to see this with some more money behind it. But like I said, I don't know. I mean, I certainly wouldn't buy it. I don't even know if I would pay to watch it. But if you catch it for free, maybe catch it there. Now, let's go on to the next movie. It's called Scrawl.
Mum, I'm writing.
No, you're not. You're avoiding making friends with people.
Well, I like being alone, all right? Just fix your eyes on this.
If you go down to the woods today, you get to go in disguise.
One of my comic book creations killed Pete.
That sounds really dumb, Simon. I wouldn't go spreading that about.
Who are you, Hannah?
Are you embarrassed to be seen with me, Simon? Isn't it about time you hand me what you promised? You don't cheat me and get away with it.
Who are you?
Death. And I need some company.
Well, it's a British film, actually from 2015, but it's getting a big push now, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. This is about a boy who writes a comic book with his best friend and finds that the situations depicted in the comic are coming to life, along with the mysterious appearance of a girl who turns out to be Death. The boy is forced to face the reality of what he has written and begins a battle to attempt to rewrite Death. Now, why this is getting a push now is because this is a movie starring Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey in the new Star Wars movies that came out right before The Force Awakens. So, you sit through this movie and, it's basically they're, starring Daisy Ridley from Star Wars. And you're like, oh, okay. Is it a new movie? Is it a horror movie? What's going on? This is one of those movies that I just found incomprehensible. I didn't know what was going on. Nothing was clear. I'm certainly not adverse to nonlinear storytelling, but it kind of jumps around, and I swear to God, there's like 25, 35 different characters in this. I couldn't tell who was who or what was going on. And the idea of the comic book coming to life, but it isn't, and there's parents and there's kids, and I don't know what the hell's going on. It's kind of cool, like I said, when you see Daisy Ridley, you're like, oh, look, there she is, and she, of course, is the most capable actress in this whole catastrophe. But otherwise, again, this is a movie I just can't recommend. So I think it's out now, but I wouldn't check it out because, again, you hear like, oh, a comic book comes to life, and that kind of sounds cool, and Daisy Ridley's in it, but it's nothing that you're going to suppose it is, so definitely avoid that. Now, speaking of movies to avoid, let's move on to The Mummy Rebirth.
The lost city of Sakata, home of the first man. Two lovers maintain the cycle of balance around the stone of Zar. If ever unleashed, the two scorned lovers will bring about the apocalypse.
Look at this. Sakar, often referenced as the lost city.
A gateway between this world and the underworld.
The stone must be the key. For anyone to get a hold of such a power, if it exists, it would be infinitely dangerous. They could tip the scale between who lives and who dies.
This DVD and online release comes August 13th. Now, Chris, I'm so glad you didn't watch this one because this was terrible. Like, really, really terrible. Two treasure hunters uncover a sealed tomb and awaken a mummy that has waited years to come back to life and wipe humanity from the face of the earth. It's a race against time as they try to stop the mummy from wreaking havoc on the modern world. Again, so, okay, that's cool. It starts off, it's supposed to be ancient Egypt, and they have this guy who vaguely looks Egyptian. He's supposed to be this pharaoh or whatever. And there's this woman, and they're like walking on the sand, and I'm like, is that Jersey? Like, are you at the Jersey Shore? What's going on?
Some days I'm uncle situation, other days I'm doctor situation, I'm chef situation, bang your girl situation. I mean, I'm just, I'm like a pretty deep dude.
It was just so piss poor. The two like archaeologists, dude, like it's like, let's watch Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider and let's see how quote unquote archaeologists dress, and you're like, holy hell, like it's so piss poor. It's like, it looks like they went to the Halloween, for a Halloween costume of explorers, and that's what they're wearing. But I will say the scene where they and their armed escorts go into the tomb and try to open the coffins, and the sarcophagus pops open and the mummies pop out. The mummies are actually cool. I will give this movie this. There are two different scenes, and the mummies are actually pretty cool. There's the main mummy, and they're the minion mummies. And what's cool, the bandages are falling off, and they kind of have these grayish, almost zombie-like faces. So I will say kudos for that. At least that was good. But everything else is not practical effects. Everything else is CGI. And as a matter of fact, at the end, it is cringe-worthingly hideous. There's supposed to be this giant, like, scarab monster or some friggin' thing that's defending the sarcophagus, whatever. And there's a final showdown between the two good explorers and the bad explorer that, of course, turns on them. And it's this giant, like, monster. But when I say it's almost like, the actors are like in front of the green screen, but they're looking in the opposite direction of where the monster's supposed to be. And then like the bad guy's like screaming like, no, but the claw's nowhere near him, and it's like on the other side of him. And I swear a couple times the monster glitched, and I was like, wow, like this is pretty bad. Like they would have been better off just like taking like a puppet and just shaking the puppet around and zooming in or something. But it was really, really piss poor. So avoid this as well. I don't know what else to say besides this was hideous. Moving on, Wicked Witch.
I would have never even heard of that one anyway. Now, was this supposed to be that had any connection with?
No.
any of the other Mummy movies?
No.
Okay, nothing at all.
No, because I mean, Mummy, the Mummy, a mummy is public domain.
Yeah.
So you can just do whatever. But again, like, they're trying to like make you buy into the idea that it's related to the Brandon Fraser flicks or something else. But it was pretty terrible. All right, here's one coming out August 9th. Wicked Witches, another British film.
Today's phone-in is about the disappearances of young men over the last couple of years. The latest to go missing is Mark Ailing.
Where are you from, boy?
Dublin, Ireland, originally. Just moved back here, though.
Whereabouts?
Dumpling Farm. Do you know it?
What stories about that place?
What stories? You've done the place up a bit. So what's the deal with parties up here? This place was always good for a party. Just broken up with the wife.
It's not as if anyone can hear you this far out.
After being thrown out of his home by his wife for cheating on her, Mark finds himself back at Dumpling Farm, a place of youthful memories and parties. But things aren't quite right, Chris. They're just not right. His old buddy Ian.
What the hell is going on there?
I know. Well, his buddy Ian, who's never left the place, is possessed by a group of demonic flesh-eating witches.
That's not good.
No. So
that's never good.
Never. It's wicked bad. So using Ian and his fam, these beautiful witches honey trap Mark and his friends to consume their souls. This doesn't even have an IMDb page, so I don't know what that says. This was terrible too. I don't know what else to say. These are all like really bad movies. Again, it's an hour and a half, and like nothing happens for about an hour 10, hour 15, and then it just goes completely cuckoo where it's, hey, we're going to have a party, and it's like a bunch of dudes, and there's like these hot girls, and hey, blah, blah, blah. And they're led off into the woods. And I'm thinking to myself, well, we've seen this before where, women are leading guys off into the woods, and then all hell breaks loose. And then it's like witches, but they've got like big, scary teeth, and they're bloody, and they're flying around, they're screaming. They're almost more like harpies or sirens. And it's just weird. The only thing I will say the last, like I said, 15, 20 minutes is kind of cool just because there are some practical effects. There's a lot of blood. There's screaming. There's the running and the screaming and the killing and the bleeding. And there's axes and murders and mayhem. And the only thing I will say, and I forget the guy's name, but the lead actor is actually quite likable. He actually gives a pretty good performance, and I kind of felt bad because, like, dude, like, what are you doing in this movie? But otherwise, again, I would avoid that unless it's for free. I really wouldn't spend any time on that. All right, finally, let me close this out with Midsommar.
I told you that I want to go to that festival in Sweden.
No, you said it would be cool to go.
Yeah, and then I got the opportunity, and I decided to do it.
I don't mind you going. I just wish you would have told me, that's all.
Dude, she needs a therapist. You've been wanting out of this stupid relationship for like a year now.
And don't forget about all of the beautiful Swedish women you'll meet in June.
Okay, guys.
That's not her again. Seriously?
Babe, what's happening? Danny.
I was so very sorry to hear about what happened.
I'm sorry.
I invited Danny to come to Sweden.
You know what she's been going through.
Christian says you've got this special week planned.
It's sort of a crazy festival. Special ceremonies and dressing up.
That sounds fun.
Unbelievable.
Welcome and happy Midsommar. Skål!
What time is it?
9 p.m.
That can't be right. The sky is blue.
This is what 9 p.m. is like here.
How long have you two been together?
Just over 3.5 years.
4 years.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's like another world.
Tomorrow's a big day.
Is it scary?
What is it?
It has special properties.
What am I going through?
We just need to acclimate.
I don't want to acclimate. I want to go.
Absolutely not.
What's happening?
I don't know why you invited us.
That's why you look so guilty right now, because you know.
We only do this every 90 years. I was most excited for you to come.
It was out last month, which I caught on opening weekend. Ari Aster's sophomore effort. Remember last year he did the critically acclaimed flick Hereditary, which I really dug. This time around, a group of college graduate students travel to Sweden to visit a rural hometown's fabled Midsommar festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult. Now, I know Hereditary was quite divisive within horror. I would say the casual viewers didn't really dig it. They thought it was too slow. They didn't think there was enough going on. I think critically it was well received. I really dug it. I bought the DVD because I'm old and I have DVDs still. But I will say this. I really liked Midsommar. 2.5 hours long, just like Hereditary, very long. I sat there and it was, again, one of those experiences where the movie ended and I sat there and I'm like, I don't know how I feel and I don't know what's going. I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. It was a really strange film, even more so than Hereditary. And when I say that, I don't mean that in a bad way. The whole movie is very hallucinatory. So you might like that part of it, Chris. Really
so probably not good to take shrooms or drop acid before going in. It's going to really mess you up.
No, because psychedelics play a part in the actual film itself. So the whole movie literally is like a waking nightmare. And, there are recurrent themes, much like in Hereditary. There's themes of family and loss and sacrifice and massive head wounds and bizarre ritualistic sex and ugly, hideous nudity and just bizarre, jarring images and different things juxtaposed that will just leave you very unsettled. What I most admired about this, as I said, the entire thing is like a waking nightmare, but the fact that he had the courage, the balls to film basically this entire film in the daylight, because he's saying, this time of the year in this part of the world, it's 24 hours of light. So literally this horror film is lights on. The skies are blue, the grass is green, and the cinematography is nothing but pastels and primary colors of flowers and trees and the water and the grasses, and you've got this sense of nature and, like I said, this very dreamlike, hallucinatory quality to the film where you're awake, but you feel like your feet are made of cement and you're sinking and you're lost and you're confused, just like the characters, and you're kind of just as scared as the characters. I thought the performances were great. Again, I forget the lead actress's name, but she gave a really great performance. All the characters aren't necessarily stereotypes. It's always, again, like, 6 friends go off into the woods and blah, 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 blah. But each one of them has flaws. And much like Hereditary, this film explores the familial connections that people have, the problems that you have with a family, and the way that the family structure falls apart. This one also focuses on male-female relationships that fall apart, and you literally watch this disintegration of a relationship on film. You watch friendships dissolve on film, all with the sense of that there is something not quite right about this village and this community, and you're watching these themes of rebirth and death and the parallels to their own lives, and just not sure where this is all going. I found it quite satisfactory. There's some really bizarre touches. If you're going to watch it, there's different scenes. There's a dinner scene. There's a couple of scenes where even you get the idea that the character is actually breaking the fourth wall and looking at the audience, which while they're hallucinating, which was actually kind of trippy. So again, I really dug this. If you did not like Hereditary, you will not like this movie either, because again, it's very similar in a lot of the themes and the ideas and the presentation and the direction. But I dug it. So for me this month, the winner was Midsommar. So, woohoo! And again, that's the ramblings of a drunken know nothing. So take it for what it's worth.
So put that in your pipe and smoke it, among other things. So is that it for the movies?
Yeah. That's all. And like I said, I think Godzilla was too late for us to cover last time.
I guess
at this point,
that was 2 months ago. So I guess.
Yeah, and at this point, it's a little late. But I dug it. I mean,
I enjoyed it. Once again,
my kid liked it too.
Just like porno, more action, less dialogue. You know.
Hey now. But again, it was everything you wanted, right? It was like, here we are, here's Mothra. Here we are, here's Rodan. Here we are, here's this monster. And it was just like, it's just monster. Monsters go crazy. Godzilla, monsters go crazy. Everybody's going crazy.
Monsters fighting each other. Yeah, monsters fight. And that's what we want to see, man.
Monsters destroy Beantown.
And they came straight out of the gate with Godzilla. We didn't have to wait 40 minutes to get Godzilla. We got him out of the gate. We got tons of him. And all the other monsters in the mix, lots of fighting. It was a blast. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, you know who my favorite new monster was? The scary like gorilla monkey like mammoth thing. I forget his name now. It's like Behemoth, I think is his name. It was like this big like kind of like monkey elephant with the big tusks. You only saw him in some of the background footage or like on the TV or whatever.
Is that an original Toho, or is that something new they made?
No. They invented that for this movie.
Oh.
Yeah, but I dug him. I thought that was pretty cool. And I love Mothra, and my daughter loves Mothra, so they were like, and Mothra was awesome. It had like some like hornet elements to it, which I thought was really cool. And Rodan, like the fact that Rodan actually had like the volcano lava kind of aspect to it. I love, like I said, I'm like, look, I just want monsters to go crazy for 2 hours. And I was like, we walked out of there, and my daughter's like, Daddy, it was just monsters going crazy for 2 hours. I'm like, yes. Exactly.
That's what I came here for.
She's like,
that's why I bought the ticket.
She's like, I told my friend, she's like, go see it. It's just monsters going nuts. I'm like, exactly.
What do we got coming up? We got
that's it for this time. And since I know we'll be doing a Halloween episode, next time I'm going to talk about some cool Halloween comic books that'll be coming out to celebrate our favorite day, as well as reviews of scary stories to tell in the dark. The Banana Splits, yes, the Banana Splits is remade as a horror movie, as well as Rob Zombie.
Tongo!
Yeah, as well as Rob Zombie's 3 from Hell. I cannot wait for the next show. I'll try to do better.
And as you promised, Rob Zombie reference.
Rob Zombie reference. See, it all comes together. All right, genius. I'll catch you next time.
Will you?
Maybe I'll take your call. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. As always, this is Johnny Thunder saying, have your pets spayed or neutered and stay scary.
I'm going now. Heaven help you.
Please like and follow the podcast. Stalk us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Links in the description. And help us by sharing Hauntcast with all your haunted Halloween brethren. Until next time, stay scary.